Again, some very mixed messages at the wedding of Peter Phillips yesterday. On one hand, we're told that William kind of is distancing himself from his cousins Beatrice and Eugenie, and on the other, there he is greeting them with effusive kisses. Now, you might say, well, one thing is business, and the other thing is a family occasion.
Behind the closed doors of a private family wedding, a calculated palace freeze-out just shattered the illusion of royal unity. As the future king and queen stepped through the gates, court insiders witnessed an incredibly tense, cold-shouldered snub that left the entire venue dead silent. Prince William and Catherine didn't just distance themselves from Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, they actively made sure they were completely written out of the frame. This wasn't just a standard family drama. It was the public breaking point of a hidden, high-stakes war involving a leaked government audit, secret funds, and a stunning palace eviction that has divided the monarchy right down the middle. To understand exactly how deep this betrayal goes and to see the hidden clues the public completely missed, you'll want to stick around until the very end of this video. Before we pull back the velvet curtain on what really happened when the cameras were turned away, take a quick second to join our royal circle by hitting that subscribe button. We love having you here, and you won't want to miss the shocking truths we're exposing next. When the gates opened at the recent family wedding of Peter Phillips and Harriet Spurling, court insiders quickly realized this was never going to be a happy family reunion. In fact, what unfolded in plain sight was described by onlookers as an absolute masterclass in psychological warfare. According to sources, Prince William and Catherine arrived with a very specific, highly calculated agenda. They weren't there to celebrate with the entire family. They were there to draw a definitive line in the sand. Insiders say the tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife the moment the York sisters walked into the venue. Rumors indicate that Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie only made the guest list because King Charles and Princess Anne explicitly forced the issue. If it had been entirely up to the future king, his cousins wouldn't have been anywhere near the ceremony. But nobody expected the snub to happen so publicly or so brutally. As Prince William approached, the entire room seemingly held its breath. Reports suggest he gave Princess Beatrice a single lightning-fast kiss on the cheek before immediately turning on his heel and walking away. There was no effort to mingle, no catching up, and absolutely no private conversations. No attempt was made to create a single family moment. One insider noted that William and Catherine actively avoided the sisters, making it crystal clear they were not seeking them out. But it gets even worse. Observers noticed that the future king and queen were fiercely protective of their public image that day, ensuring they weren't captured in a single frame with the sisters. They certainly weren't interested in being photographed anywhere near them. This wasn't just a simple case of cousins drifting apart, it was a deliberate, synchronized effort to completely freeze them out of the royal narrative. So, what could possibly drive the future leader of the monarchy to treat his own flesh and blood like complete strangers at a private family event? The answer doesn't lie in some petty personal grudge or old family argument. Instead, it goes straight to a heavily guarded financial ledger that a recent government investigation just exposed to the light.
But I think the interesting thing is that Beatrice and Eugenie have subsidized accommodation in St. James's and Kensington Palaces. We knew that. They don't pay the money is actually covered by the king from the Duchy of Lancaster. Again, a big debate about whether that's his private income or money that really should be going back to the Treasury. There's certainly some big questions there about whether all this has been declared as a benefit in kind by the two princesses. I mean, they've paid nothing for the last 20 years for royal palaces, and though they're not working royals, which seems to be slightly anomalous. We know that there are some very cozy relationships in terms of very cheap deals with people, for example, like Princess Alexandra, her daughter Marina Ogilvy, who is not a working royal and has never been. We know that Prince Edward has a pretty cozy deal at Bagshot and is able to make money on the side from renting out stables, money that seems to be going to him rather than back to the exchequer.
The hidden catalyst behind this public freeze-out wasn't a personal insult, but a multi-million-dollar financial secret that just blew the lid off the palace walls. A bombshell National Audit Office report unexpectedly leaked, exposing exactly how certain non-working royals are living a life of extreme luxury on the public dime. And right at the center of this financial storm are Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. While ordinary citizens struggle with everyday living costs, reports suggest the sisters have been quietly enjoying premium London real estate completely rent-free. This wasn't just a minor administrative oversight. The government audit revealed a highly irregular arrangement that allowed the York sisters to occupy ultra-exclusive residences within St. James's Palace and Kensington Palace without paying a single penny out of pocket. According to sources, their luxury lifestyles are being quietly sustained by King Charles himself, utilizing private millions flowing directly from the highly lucrative Duchy of Lancaster. But it gets even more intriguing. It turns out this highly controversial perk was a legacy agreement established by their late grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, which King Charles chose to extend behind closed doors. For Prince William, who is hyper-focused on protecting the monarchy's modern reputation, this discovery was a massive blow. Insiders say the future king views these off-the-books privileges as a direct threat to the crown's survival in a modern world. Yet, the free rent is only the surface of a much deeper problem. As the audit dug into the numbers, investigators realized the palace wasn't just covering the baseline costs. They were using highly deceptive tricks to keep the true value of these estates completely hidden from public view. And the deeper the auditors looked, the more calculated the manipulation appeared to be.
Clearly, William has been much more open. He's paying a market rent for Forest Lodge. It's all laid out there. He's paying, I think, at £100,000 more, £200,000 more each year than the previous tenants. And it's reviewed with market conditions. You know, there have been so many things that struck me researching the Yorks where I was just amazed that HMRC, Majesty's Revenue and Customs, weren't investigating the Yorks because of the way they were behaving and the monies that were coming in, and I suspect not being declared. And I mean, we have no indication that that has ever been the case. And someone said the answer is in the title, Her Majesty or His Majesty's Revenue and Customs.
The official palace rulebook states that non-working family members must pay a hefty 60% of market value for their homes. But investigators just discovered the York sisters managed to bypass the system entirely. For years, the calculation of their rent relied on wildly outdated property valuations. While local housing costs skyrocketed, Eugenie's rent calculations were frozen all the way back to a 2018 assessment, and Beatrice's rested on an old 2020 figure. Because of these frozen metrics, the king effectively absorbed the entire cost of maintaining these ultra-premium properties. What makes this situation particularly hard to swallow for the public is the immense personal wealth behind both sisters. Both women have established lucrative corporate careers outside of their historical duties, and both are married to incredibly affluent, high-earning husbands. Public advocates are already voicing immense fury, openly stating that there is absolutely no reason independent, wealthy citizens should have their luxury accommodations subsidized by private royal estates. But this economic loophole looks even worse when you compare it directly to how Prince William and Catherine manage their own households. Even though they carry out hundreds of exhausting official duties every single year, they personally fork over more than £300,000 annually to lease their Windsor residence at full market value. Seeing his cousins take a completely free ride while he pays standard market rates out of his own pocket is reportedly a massive point of friction for the future king. Yet, this entire financial manipulation is just a symptom of a much darker crisis brewing within the family. Prince William's deep-seated anger isn't just about unfair rent or outdated ledgers. The true reason he refuses to even look at his cousins traces right back to a series of highly questionable cash deals and a dramatic law enforcement intervention that completely brought down their father. To find the real reason behind Prince William's uncompromising attitude, you have to look past the rent-free apartments and straight into the darkest scandal to hit the modern monarchy. For years, the sisters' father, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, managed to maintain a staggering level of luxury despite being completely stripped of his official duties. He lived inside the massive 30-room royal lodge under an incredibly favorable arrangement, paying next to nothing in return. But the recent government audit exposed a highly shocking side hustle that allegedly took place right on the estate grounds. According to sources, investigators discovered that he was quietly running a private rental operation on the property. Reports suggest he was charging rent to staff members living in cottages on the estate, essentially turning a historical crown property into a personal stream of revenue. While a palace source claimed the money was strictly used to cover heavy maintenance costs, the audit revealed it is entirely unclear how much private income was actually generated over the years. But this questionable real estate operation completely paled in comparison to the sudden law enforcement intervention that sent shockwaves through the palace walls. Rumors indicate that Prince William had already pushed hard behind the scenes to ensure his uncle was completely removed from the Windsor estate. However, no one was prepared for the absolute chaos that erupted on the morning of February 19th, right on his 66th birthday. In a move that stunned the entire world, law enforcement officers arrived at the Sandringham estate and placed Andrew Mountbatten Windsor under arrest. It is claimed that the emergency intervention was triggered by suspicion of misconduct in public office, linking back to highly sensitive document leaks and his historical association with the late Jeffrey Epstein. For Prince William, this was the ultimate betrayal of the family name. With their father facing a massive ongoing investigation and potential legal ruin, the York sisters are now viewed by the future king as an active threat to the crown's survival. This leaves the entire family in an incredibly dangerous position as the lines of power are aggressively redrawn. And what King Charles plans to do next with his nieces could change the future of the monarchy forever.
But I think William can see the reputational damage. He can see how public opinion is changing, and it risks the whole institution. And they need to kind of do some sort of modification in order to survive. But it's kind of trimming at the edges. I think William feels constrained. I mean, he's clearly not monarch yet, so he has to abide by his father. Tom Sykes has made a very interesting suggestion in his blog today, that because the king seems to be in remission, that the drugs that he's been taking seem to be working, he may well live a normal lifespan. And therefore, the power game that was going on before, the sense that the power is draining away from Charles, has actually changed, and he now needs to basically fall into line behind his father.
The icy encounter at Peter Phillips's recent Cotswolds wedding makes perfect sense when you realize that the lines of power inside the palace are being entirely redrawn. This wasn't just a simple case of personal tension between cousins. It was a visual confirmation that the inner circle of the monarchy is officially closing for good. According to sources, Prince William and Catherine are completely committed to a lean, streamlined institution that is strictly focused on those who actively serve the crown. By keeping their distance from the sisters, the future king and queen sent a powerful, unmistakable message. If you are not an official working member of the family, you are no longer part of the inner circle. This definitive shift has left King Charles caught in an incredibly difficult position. Insiders say the monarch still holds a major soft spot for his nieces, preferring to quietly protect them using private funds behind closed doors. Yet, with public scrutiny reaching an all-time high and a major government audit putting a spotlight on the palace's private financial ledger, the king's lenient approach is becoming an active liability. Rumors indicate that Prince William is growing increasingly impatient with these old-world privileges, viewing them as a direct threat to the family's modern survival. As the future leader of the institution, he is ready to prioritize accountability over personal relationships, regardless of the emotional fallout. Ultimately, the spectacular legal collapse of their father has left the York sisters floating in a dangerous political limbo. They are caught directly between an uncle who wants to shield them out of affection and a cousin who is completely prepared to cut them loose for the sake of the crown's future. As the government investigation moves forward and the palace is forced to answer for these hidden real estate arrangements, the ultimate fate of these non-working royals remains entirely uncertain. King Charles may want to keep his family close, but Prince William has already made it clear that the future of the monarchy belongs only to those who earn their place. What do you think about this dramatic shift? Is Prince William right to draw such a harsh line against his own family members, or is the palace taking things a step too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. We read every single one of them. If you found this deep dive into the palace's hidden conflicts absolutely fascinating, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Most importantly, don't forget to join our growing royal circle by clicking that subscribe button right now. We have some incredibly shocking exposés coming up next, and you definitely won't want to miss them.